Hi Bobcats. In this video we're going to take a look at the concept of attendance in our class. Since this is largely an asynchronous internet-based course, it's difficult to really say what attendance for the class is. So we're going to try to deal in this video with some of the issues that pop up sort of under that general umbrella of attendance. So our objective for this video segment is to describe these attendance requirements. Roster certification is a process required by the university that indicates that you have been attending class at some point within the first 12 days of class. It's sometimes referred to as the 12th class day roster certification. Since we don't really meet, it's an asynchronous class, the requirement for me to certify you as attending for roster certification processes is that you have completed all parts of this welcome module. So this module that you're working on right now, this welcome module, complete all pieces of that, and I'll mark you on roster certification as attending. If you get marked as not attending on the roster certification, you will be removed from the roster. If you really do want to be in the course, then you've got a bunch of hoops to jump through with the registrar in order to get yourself put back into the course. So if you are serious about this class, make sure that you complete this welcome module for roster certification. The deadline that I put on this on the Canvas site for all of the little participation problem sets was the 12th class day, but please just go ahead and complete this module immediately. There's so much other stuff you need to be doing for this class as we're jumping into chapter 12 and then chapter 13. So please just go ahead and complete this here in the first week of classes. So what about our synchronous Zoom meetings? These Zoom meetings are problem-solving sessions. It's like a flipped classroom. The concept of a flipped classroom is you read the book or watch videos outside of class, then when you come to class, you apply what you learned and you get to struggle with the material a little bit and get those challenging parts figured out. So it's really critical that you have interacted with those recorded lectures before coming to a synchronous meeting. This will be your opportunity to ask questions, to interact with your peers, or to interact with me. Attendance is not required. I will not be taking attendance. But here's the kicker. If you're not doing the work for the class, you are not going to be successful. One of my colleagues, Dr. Martin, asserts that General Chemistry 2 is the most challenging 1,000 level course offered on our campus. One of the things that makes this class so challenging is that it is cumulative. For General Chemistry 2, you are expected to know all of the material for General Chemistry 1. It's my understanding that in some of the other science disciplines, the 2 semesters are completely independent of one another to the point that it doesn't matter which one you take in the spring and which one you take in the fall. But in chemistry, it's a cumulative process. The things that you learn in Gen Chem 1 are going to be used in Gen Chem 2. So it's a good news, bad news scenario. If you were weak on something from Gen Chem 1, sometimes using it again in Gen Chem 2 really solidifies it. But if you really didn't get something in Gen Chem 1 and then we need it in Gen Chem 2, that means in addition to learning the new material, you've got to go back and learn the old material too so that you can do the new material. So this class can be very challenging. So while I'm saying that attendance is not required, if you do not attend these synchronous class meetings, you have to do whatever it takes to keep you motivated and to keep you working on this class regularly. When we're doing one of the chapters that takes multiple weeks, if you wait until that last day when the homework is due and the participation problem sets are due and the quizzes are due, you are going to be in a world of hurt because you cannot learn 2 weeks or 3 weeks worth of material in one afternoon or one evening. It just will not happen. You will fail. So if you're not coming and regularly working with me in these synchronous Zoom meetings, you need to be sure that you are frequently, often interacting with the material and making good progress through the material outside of these synchronous class meetings. Okay, so the issue may pop up of what happens if you get really sick or something major happens. Another instructor already told me that a student has notified him that he's been called up for National Guard duty. What happens if there's an extended period of time when life happens and you are unable to work on the course material? Okay, well, the answer is it depends. In many, many cases, the grading mechanisms that already exist within the class are enough to compensate. For instance, dropping your lowest grade in the homework category means if you completely miss a homework because you were sick and you were unable to do it, then it doesn't matter, right? Your grade's not going to be affected by it. So there are a lot of built-in mechanisms to account for you getting sick or for attending a funeral or having to go to court. Any of those types of things, generally speaking, are going to be accounted for already within the mechanisms of the course. I would strongly recommend, if it is at all possible, and this is something that I just learned last semester about Canvas, you'll hear me say as we go through the semester that as you're preparing for an exam, go back and review the participation problem sets, go back and review the chapter quiz. It'll tell you a lot of things like, how do I ask questions about this topic? You won't see the exact same questions, but it'll show you a lot. Am I doing multiple choice questions? Am I doing multiple answer questions? Am I doing numerical responses or formula questions? So there's a lot of value to that. But if you don't submit a participation problem set or a quiz, Canvas won't let you go back later and look at them. So what you need to do, if you possibly can, even if you know you don't have time to learn the material or even take these assessments, do them anyway. If you can just open them and even just submit them with all of the answers blank, what that will do is it'll allow you later to come back and look at those questions. Okay, so what I've addressed so far is most normal cases. You get the flu, somebody who's close to you passes away, all of these types of things. But let's talk what's going to happen if there's some sort of an extreme case. Like let's say you get a really bad case of COVID, or something happens and you're out of commission for a couple of weeks. Okay, it's really important that you communicate with me so that I know what's going on and that you document, right? Depending on what's going on, it might be Bobcat Trace if you're sick with COVID, or it might be the Dean of Students if it's something like a hospitalization for some other purpose, National Guard duty, any of those types of things. Those would go through the Dean of Students. I can't tell you today how we're going to deal with it because I don't know what's going to happen. I have had students get called up for National Guard duty for hurricane relief, and they end up busy 24/7 the entire time that they're gone and are unable to do anything on the classes, and I've worked with them. I've also had students get called up for guard duty who ended up sitting around with nothing to do for large periods of time and got all of their work done. In fact, they got more work done than they typically did, right? So I don't know what the appropriate thing will be until the situation happens, and then we'll figure out what to do. But it is really important that you communicate with me, and it is really important that you submit appropriate documentation, either through Bobcat Trace for COVID or through the Dean of Students for everything else. So our objective was to deal with attendance type issues. It's again a little fuzzy since this is an asynchronous class, but hopefully we got some of that cleared up. And if there are any weird circumstances going on or you're not clear about something, again, please let me know. Talk to me in office hours, talk to me at the synchronous problem solving sessions, or send me an email.